We're here on the coast of South Sulawesi, a place called Tana Beru. This is where traditionally they've built these huge wooden sailing ships for hundreds of years. Today I'm going to go and film them. I'm going to find out what it's all about. I'm going to show you. Come along. Since the earliest times of human settlement in the Indonesian archipelago, her seas have been natural lanes of migration, communication and commerce. Not surprising really that up to this day the islands have inherited perhaps some of the most sophisticated maritime traditions in the world. Here you can still see traditional ships sailing across the open oceans to catch fish or transport goods. One of these ships stands out as a legendary icon of the seafaring culture in Indonesia, the majestic Phinisi schooner. Phinisi is actually a specific rig type, a two-masted sailing ship with 5 to 7 sails. The hull of the ship looks similar to that of a dhow, while the fore and aft rigging recalls Western schooners. The large mainsails differ from Western-style gaff rigs though, as they do not have a boom and the sail is not lowered with the gaff. Instead it is reefed towards the mast, much like a curtain, thus allowing the gaff to be used as a deck crane in the harbour. Phinisi are generally 20 to 35 metres long and up to 350 tonnes in weight. Phinisi schooners have been around since the 14th century. Along the beach at Tana Beru, you can see many boats being built, up to 40 or 50 at any time and in various stages of construction. Okay, so enough of the history lesson, let's get down to it. So the Phinisis are built right here on the beach. The workers and the people who are building them live right behind them in their villages, and they just walk to work every day. The air is filled with the sound of chainsaws and hammering and chiseling and people crying and yelling, goats barring and roosters crowing. There's a lot going on. First thing when going ashore, well, you can't miss all the rubbish. There's a big industry here and a lot of the trash just ends up in the water. The goats definitely go through it all and pick out the good stuff though. First, to get my head around it, I just wandered up and down the road. So what I found out by doing this is the wood doesn't come from here, it comes further north. They use teak and ironwood. That comes from Borneo or North Sulawesi. I found a couple of diesel-powered sawmills where they cut the big square blocks down into the smaller planks that they need to build the ship's hulls. I saw a couple of young guys sitting on this massive chunk of beautiful timber that I later found out was the keel or starting point of a new boat. So after a while of cruising up and down the street gathering intel, I saw this one boat. The stern on it fascinated me. It was white wood and it was wrapped around wood. It wasn't joined, it was bent, and each side, port and starboard, was symmetrical, and I shot that and I was gazing at that. As luck would have it, the builder of this boat walked past and asked me what I was doing. I said, I'm just very interested and I want to make a video about this. And he said, you're free to go up inside my boat and film whatever you want, just don't put me in it or the plans for the boat. And I was like, thank you. So up I went, up the rickety gangplank that, yeah, at least 300 tons of wood has been dragged up. Now think about that. Up onto the top deck where, wow, what an expanse. These things are massive. Until you get up there you don't realise how big they are and how much space there is. One floor down they were flat out putting walls and doorways in. There were about 5 guys in this floor working on their individual parts of the boat, and I guess they just kept going through ticking things off. Each master builder seemed to have an apprentice or a gopher, I guess they would call it, who sat around smoking a lot of the time, but then yeah, just went down and got him a piece of wood and planed it flat and brought it back up again, and then the master builder would chisel it and cut it and make it all fit and hammer it into place. There was a lot of wood chips, and obviously the whole boat smelled of wood, and there was a hell of a lot of smoking going on. I don't know if those two things really go well together. The level of the workmanship that I saw done with these very, very basic tools, and it seemed like minimal measurement, mostly done by eye. I didn't see a spirit level, for example, once. But the level of workmanship was pretty incredible. I mean, yeah, these guys have been doing it their whole lives, and it's been handed down generation to generation. I guess that's what you get. So after a while, the guys sort of forgot that I was around, and from my position up there, I had a pretty amazing view of the next 2 or 3 building sites all around me. I could look across, I could look down, and yeah, I stayed up there for a few hours and just observed it. I grew up on a farm. My dad was an engineer and always had projects going on. I love to see things, how they build, and I love to watch the symmetry, and there's a sort of beauty to this sort of thing that I really admire. People going about their job and they have their mission for the day, and they know what they're doing, and everyone sort of, it's all just this clockwork of energy that's going on. I love to observe it. Now down below decks, well, it was hot and dark down there. Look at the amount of timber in these things. These things are built strong. There was a guy putting in the flooring, and this was a big work, chiseling and grinding, and all this timber had to be brought in, up, then down, down, down. Pretty big work. Back down on the ground again. Now the caulking of the planks seemed to be a massive task. There was by far the most people working at that, and if you think about it, there's probably kilometres and kilometres of joints that have to be caulked, and each one 2 times, so there's 2 different layers have to be hammered in there, and then I think they've even put some resin in or some gum of some sort afterwards, so a lot of people working at that task. But at least under the boat there was shade, and wow, it seemed like plenty of time to stop for a smoke as well, which is pretty important. This is Anwar. He's been working on the boat since he was 12 years old. He doesn't know exactly how old he is now, but he thinks he's been working for about 50 years. These days he does the caulking under the waterline. For that he uses a tree bark and he rolls it up tight and then hammers into the gaps between the planks. Now most of these boats seem to be single screwed, massive big 4-blade bronze propeller on it, and as I was walking down the street, the road was blocked for a while they were hand winching this huge big diesel engine into the back of this boat, and then I guess they had to manhandle it down into the bilges. I don't quite know how they did that, but everything's possible in Indonesia. Now that is a good looking rooster. Look at him. He's proud. He's looking after his women and his family, doing his job, and what a stunner. I come across one boat that had just begun being built, and I realized they had a new technique. Instead of using all wooden pegs and caulking from tree bark, they actually had stainless steel threads, big long threads that were inserted into the main keel, the first part, and then all of the planks after that were drilled and then banged down with huge mallets onto these threads, and then sealed with plastic foam. So it probably lasted a lot longer than the tree bark. They'll still use wooden pegs to line it all up and to nail them together sort of, so there was no other metal apart from the stainless steel threads, but quite interesting to see their techniques have changed. Now these few days filming all this boat building just flew by for me, but I had to remember Marie was on the boat with Eli, so I'd make a point of going and getting her every afternoon, and we'd walk down the beach to this little shack, the Boba Blissful, and there we'd get a nice icy cold drink, and yeah, we'll tell you about that.
What is the S boba?
Well, I got a tiramisu. I guess it's milk and tiramisu flavour, and then little balls of tapioca flour or something.
Yeah.
A little like jelly balls made out of tapioca. It's quite nice. Icy, it's like a little milkshake with little balls in it. Maybe you want to taste it. Yeah.
So these things are called piscock. I never tried it, apparently it's a specialty of here. Well, I know what it is. We already tried, I think.
What's inside?
It's a banana with a little bit of chocolate.
Oh, yeah.
And they have like kind of a crispy...
Like a pastry.
Yeah, but it's not like the donut, it's really like more a fried crepe.
Oh, yeah.
It's really nice.
How much did this all cost?
The 2 drinks and the 5-piece cock, it was 20,000, which is €1.20.
Or $2 Australian.
Yeah.
Pretty good value. What are the kids doing? Hello. Hello. Compared to Australia, for example, health and safety regulations here are not very high, I would say. Here's a guy sharpening his planer blades on a handheld grinder held between his feet, and as you can see he's got half his finger missing, which probably happened the day before. Anyway, he didn't seem to mind. And yeah, in general, flip-flops were the footwear of choice, and eyeglasses were not seen, and yeah, cigarettes were mandatory. So a full-size one of these Phinisis takes, well, 3 months to build, but the owner that I talked to said it very rarely happens in 3 months because they're always waiting for the wood that they need to arrive. It's never just start to end. They'll stop for a week here, they have to lay off workers there, just waiting for wood to arrive. But yeah, 3 to 6 months. And then the question I had to ask, well, how do you get a 300 to 400 ton boat off the beach? This is how they do it. So meet the chain gang. This is literally a gang of workers pulling chains for 10 to 12 days to get these things floating. Pretty incredible. They do it centimetre by centimetre and just drag these things down the beach. Obviously you can't just pull them down the beach, they'll tip over, so you've got to have guys under there with jacks holding the sides up and moving they've got legs along the side and have to keep moving them and then greasing underneath and then waiting for the tides, all this thing. Yeah, it's a full-on job to get these things floating. It blew me away. Now, I was lucky to come across these guys just as they'd started, and they were super enthusiastic and chanting and stopping for a smoke and a drink every time it moved. I wonder what they're like on the last few days.
This is the end of this video, our first adventure in Sulawesi. Vernon was really waiting to visit this place, and I would say it's probably the place that I heard the most with him about Sulawesi. Even before coming a few years ago, he was already talking of coming here because we heard about a friend who built a Phinisi over there and was saying that it was amazing. So
Cindy, that's for you.
Yeah, Cindy, it was really like something he was waiting for, and I think he's quite happy because I was a bit scared he could be also disappointed that the place was not as fun. But yeah, really a great first adventure to start our Sulawesi trip.
Yeah, it was no disappointment at all. Really had high hopes and they were exceeded. It was, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I just love watching that sort of stuff happen. And that's also, yeah, something I learned, you know. We put at the end of these videos, something we learned along the way. And here, it became obvious to me, again, I know it already, but basically, if you do something that you love and that makes you happy and that you're proud of, you're going to be a happy person. Just your day-to-day life will be good because how you earn your money is what you love doing, and you've got pride and passion in that. And I had that as a photographer, and now doing this, and I'm happy. And these people on these boats, they all seemed so happy. They were really just going about their life, about doing their jobs with pride and passion, and it was good to see. Thanks, patrons, again, for supporting our work, supporting what we do with these videos, the work and effort that goes into it. It took me a week to film this video and a couple of days to edit it, so yeah, really appreciate you guys' support. We're trying to get these videos out to more people. So sort of looking at through the analytics on YouTube, one thing that stood out to me right away was we've got 33, nearly 34,000 subscribers, but only 2,000 of you have the notifications bell turned on. So if it's turned off, well, the algorithm's not going to send you it. Just because you're a subscriber, they're not going to send you our video. The only way you're going to know that we put a new video out is if you get a notification. So go back, and it's awesome you subscribe, but click on the bell as well. That way you know when we put a new video out, and that would help us out a lot, because it's all about drive and getting the algorithm to go like, oh, people are watching it, alright, we'll share it again. It's disappointing when we spend so much time making videos that we're proud of, and yeah, the algorithm just doesn't share them with anybody. I'm probably going on a bit much. What do you think?
Well, no, that's exactly this. Like, it's a bit sad to see that YouTube is changing the algorithm, and doing these videos is taking really a lot of our time and preparing in advance what we're gonna do. We are planning everything of our sailing in relation with these videos to offer good content. We are trying to do the best we can, and we are learning all the time, trying always to keep up. And yeah, when you see then there's not many views, but you have a lot of people who are following, and every of the comments are positive, so we are pretty sure that it's not too bad.
Yeah. We get a lot of really good feedback from people, and then you're like, well, why is it not getting more spread? But anyway, we just keep trying. We do what we do. We're not doing any hacks. We're not paying money for advertising these or buying views, anything like that. We'll just keep doing as good as we can, keep trying to improve, as Maurice said, and yeah, keep making this little buddy smile, because that's all that, you know, makes us happy, is if he's smiling all the time, and he seems to be pretty happy.
Yeah.
So we'll see you all next week.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Have a nice week. Bye
bye.